Sam Sorbo here. This is the final part of my 4-part interview with Chloe Cole, the young woman who transitioned and transitioned back and who is now speaking out. And this is the final summation. What's life like for her today, and where does she see herself going in the future? She's a remarkable young woman. Stay tuned for the rest of this interview. If you've always wanted to go to Israel and it's one of those things on your bucket list and you think, that's just never going to happen, change your way of thinking. If you will it, you can do it. And our trip, the Sorbo Israel trip, and it's, by the way, sorboisraeltrip.com online. We call it Follow the Light in the Footsteps of Jesus. We're walking in the footsteps of Jesus in Israel, my husband and I. Our kids are joining us again for the second time. We've got other people who joined us on the first trip joining us for the second time. And you can be one of the people who will be new to the group and will be embraced by the group. We just have such a phenomenal time. So go to sorboisraeltrip.com and consider it. It's May 17th through the 28th of 2023. We've got a great itinerary. You can see everything online, but set your sights on that. Make a plan. Get signed up soon because tickets are running out. We're running out of space, and we'd love to include you. So go online, sorboisraeltrip.com, and check it out and join us. You will not regret it. Israel is an amazing place, and it is truly one of those bucket list things. So I really encourage you to take it seriously and come with us. All right, welcome back to the Sam Sorbo Show. And we're going to try to conclude the interview here that I'm doing with Chloe Cole, who detransitioned after going on hormone blockers and testosterone and having what they call top surgery to remove her breasts. She started to feel, within about 11 months of having the surgery, she started to regret her decision and understand the tremendous ramifications, the lifelong permanent ramifications of what she had done to her body. And in fact, what she had been allowed to do as a young 15-year-old, what the medical community facilitated her doing in terms of, I hope I don't sound too harsh, but it is mutilation. And so Chloe, at the end of her 11th grade year in school, her junior year in high school, she decided that this was no longer the path for her to try to tell the world that she was a boy when she knew in her heart that she was a woman, and that it was just a very difficult transition from girlhood into womanhood. And so she started detransitioning. We were talking before the break about what did your friends have to say? You've lost some friends. It is political. You can't help that. That just is, that's the way that it is. They've made it political. Friends, abortion is also political. It shouldn't be. It's moral. It's ethical. It's health, perhaps, but it's now considered political, and there's nothing that you can do about that. But what you've chosen to do, Chloe, and this is why I think a lot of people, I call you a heroine because you're speaking the truth, and the people who are against you are extremely vocal and ill-tempered for whatever reasons. And you've chosen to speak the truth despite them. And that is something that I admire. That's fortitude, that's strength of character. And so I hope that you'll continue to do that. But how has that been now? You said your parents came right alongside you when you decided to transition back. They seem like they basically go with, in a sense, what they're told, but I think that they would probably receive that news with some happiness. Do you think that they saw how sad you were? They must have, right?
Oh yeah, they did.
And so did they ever bring it up to you like, hey, you seem pretty sad. Are you sure that you did the right thing? Did they ever question it after the fact?
My mom did once while I was I think this must have been like my junior year. Um, but I was just so deep in it that I didn't think that being that transitioning was the issue. I thought it was something entirely different. But
So you put her off. You said, well, I might be upset, but it has nothing to do with what you think.
yeah, she was asking me like if I was like regretting my transition. I was like, no, no, no. It has nothing to do with that because I mean I really truly thought that I was actually a boy and I was so deep in it that I just didn't think I could ever go back.
And then you did.
And then I did.
Crazy. Like, I'm sure to a certain extent, you're like, that was me then. But I will tell you this. After my first child, I did breastfeed him for a year. And about a year when he turned a year and then a little bit longer, when I stopped breastfeeding him, I woke up one day and I went, oh, this is normal. That's so weird because I thought I was normal. But when the hormones leave, right? When you're breastfeeding, when you're in puberty, there are hormones.
Mhm.
When they leave, there's a different kind of clarity.
Yeah.
So while I thought that I was perfectly fine, I'm just getting it done, whatever. And then one day, like I woke up and I realized, oh, that wasn't normal because now this is the new normal. And, they don't tell you that.
They
Just like
don't.
they
They don't.
didn't, right? They didn't tell you what the ramifications were going to be of taking hormone suppressants or taking testosterone or having the surgery.
They gave a
Um,
very skewed list of what the ramifications would be, but they never told me what would happen after I stopped.
and that's a failure. And I
Yes.
wonder if that I'm always looking for like, what's the legal, where's the chink in the armor? How do we get in there to make them liable, to hold them accountable? Because they did something to you. You were 15 years old. You were 12 years old, 13 years old. They did something to you. You can sell
Yes.
a child. We used to say the guy in the white van, oh, he was a bad guy because he was trying to lure the kids in. These
Mhm.
people have a full roam in our schools to prey upon young children. And this is how I see it. You call it child abuse. I've seen interviews with you. I've been saying now for quite a while that school is child abuse. And now, of course, we're seeing all the rest of the stuff that's going on in the schools is child abuse. And I think that in to defend your parents' position, schools don't teach us discernment. They don't teach us how to understand the difference between right and wrong because everything is okay. Just depends on your point of view. So to a certain degree, your parents are blameless because they were trained to obey.
Yes.
And to a certain degree, you were trained to obey. So when an adult came and affirmed you and said, well, that they're there, dear, you just feel like a boy because you are a boy. Let me help you.
Yep.
You think this person wants for my good. Now we've got, I'm sure, are you familiar with the other transgender people who have retransitioned and are speaking out?
Yeah. I know. I've met a few.
There are quite a few. Walt Steyer, are you familiar with Walt Steyer?
I am not.
He's one of the first,
Huh.
and he talks about he was one of the first to go under the knife, and he talks
Really?
about the men who created the surgery, who devised the whole thing, as being just tremendous perverts. How are you
That kind of
today?
seems to be a pattern here.
Yes. And so I want to ask you, like, how are you today? Are you angry? It doesn't sound like you're seeking revenge. It just sounds like but maybe I'm wrong. Like where are you emotionally today?
Um, I mean, for what it is, I'm faring pretty well, but I mean, I'm still in the middle of healing from this. There's some things that I still struggle with to this day, like not being able to breastfeed my kids. I'm still worried about like whether I'll be able to like conceive a healthy child. And it's pretty difficult. Um,
Did you have, I know when you were in that class, you realized, oh, the mastectomy actually has cost me something,
yeah.
potentially, right? Has potentially cost me something. But when did you start to have maternal instincts? Like when did you go, gee, I kind of want to have a kid someday?
I think after like stopping testosterone and like as the estrogen started to like come back to my body started like naturally produce it. It just was kind of a natural thing over time.
Yeah. So what's next for you? And how can people, I don't know, do you have a website? Are you trying to promote anything? I know you're speaking. What's coming up next?
So I I have a few events coming up, but I've set up an organization, Detrans United, and I want to use it to be able to provide support to other detransitioners.
Right, because where does a young person go when everybody around them is affirming them in
I had
their
almost nothing.
original? Yeah, yeah, that's why. That's partly why you're so brave. Like you were brave before. So now your bravery is just a further extension of the, it was an incredibly brave thing for you to recognize, oh my goodness, I've made a huge mistake. I need to fix that now. There are a lot of
Thank you so
people
much.
who at your age maybe realize that they've made a mistake, but refuse to admit it. And
It's it's hard to admit. I mean, it's almost kind of humiliating to even come to that conclusion that this thing that you've been doing for years and that has changed you perhaps irreversibly has been the wrong decision all along.
have you found any medical attention that can give you a pathway forward? Have you talked to anybody like that can give you, you know, some hope for the future? I mean, you don't know the ramifications yet, right?
I don't. But I mean, are you asking if I've like had any, like, I guess you could say corrective or like reconstructive procedures done after the fact, or like if I'm seeking any?
No, I mean more about the hormones and the emotions. And, you know, it's funny because I'm talking to you like, and we can't do otherwise. We're speaking as if you've arrived. You haven't arrived. I know you haven't arrived. You're 18. You don't really arrive into your life until you're 26 or 27.
Mm-hmm.
You've come a great distance, longer, you know, farther than a lot of people have come in their first 18 years of life. And there's more ahead of you. And so I guess
Thank
I
you.
was wondering if you had any psychological counseling or any kind of you know, a replacement for the gender affirming or the gender specialist or whatever we called that person, right? You
I've
maybe finding somebody who can feed into the ego, because you know, and you talked about this, you talked about how it's humiliating. It's humiliating for everybody to admit that they've made a mistake, and it should be less humiliating for you in a sense because you were so young and you were in a almost goaded into it. Do this, we can do this for you and charge the insurance company, it's easy, you know. um at a certain point, maybe talking to somebody about that to sort through it and get things settled in your mind might be helpful. So I guess I wondered if you were looking into that at all.
um
And if that's too personal, then you can just disregard. I didn't mean it to get
oh no,
that.
it's okay. Um I haven't really found any support from any of any therapist or like any medical professional really after the fact. Therapists can't really do anything other than follow the affirmative care model. I mean, they might lose their job otherwise, but yeah, I kind of just like had to sort things out on my own, and I found that honestly, my experience with like therapy and psychiatry has not been helpful at all. I've found that like actually going out and like doing things and making new friends, making friends with people who um genuinely support and care
Care about
about
you.
me has done wonders for me. I know it's not like that for everybody. Not everybody is lucky enough to have like family members or friends or like colleagues who will do that for them. But I mean, just even like taking initiative and doing things for yourself can help a lot in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Any final comments, any messages that you want to get across before we close this out?
I say to parents, let your kids know that you love them and spend time with them. Um, keep them off the internet for as long as you can. Um, and once they start using it, and they like start using social media. Keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on what they're watching, what they're being exposed to, and how much time they're spending on it, and how it might be affecting them. And um, outside of that, like keep them busy, keep them involved in like activities at school, sports, so that they have structure and I mean support in developing into a healthy adult.
I like that. Well said. Chloe Cole, thank you so much for coming on the Sam Sorbo
Thank
Show.
you.